Ashe. Ashe is the word, the source of I and I ancestors. Ashe is the source that holds all things together. Ashe is I source, I shield, and I protector. Ashe is I source, I guide, and I provider. Ashe is I source, and that is why I am not black. Ashe is I source, and I cannot be lack. Ashe is I source, I light, and I deliverer. Ashe is I source, I healer, and I teacher. Ashe is I source, I leader, and I spiritual fire. Ashe is I source, I spiritual comforter. Each day I become more stronger. Ashe is I strength. Each day I be more and more. Ashe is I source, I sustain. Each day my life is filled with more pleasure. Ashe walk with I daily to much green and greener pastures. Ashe walk with I beside some very cold and deadly waters. Ashe walk I through the valley of the shadow of blackness, and under the shadow of blackness, and so I fear no evil or what the devil may try to do, for it's Ashe I say. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe I say. To you all, my highly enriched melanin, Corbin skin, brothers and sisters, my fellow Africans, Mother Earth's original, Mother Earth's natural, native, and organic humans the world over. And welcome back one and all to this another perspective with I, the Mystic Philosopher. It's high time for reason and for reasoning. As it is my custom to do, please let me take this opportunity right here and now and say goodwill to all those of you that have given, and all those of you that may give, and all those of you that will give of your very limited resources, aka your very precious time, to join in, to watch and listen to this video broadcast and podcast. Goodwill to all those of you that take time out to subscribe to my YouTube channel called The Right Number, and to my blog post at themysticp.com. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take time out to donate and to support what I'm doing, and especially goodwill to all those of you that have, that may, and that will purchase my music and messages in songs. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will take time out to participate in the discussions, to critique and to write comments. Goodwill to all those of you that may or that will intelligently, informatively, and respectfully rebut with the honest intent of highlighting or correcting any and all possible statements or information that you might perceive to be erroneous and misleading, or that you may prove to be incorrect and misleading. And goodwill to all those of you that will share your own perspectives on any of the topics that are covered in this or any series of lecture presentation that I, the Mystic Philosopher, has done. Welcome, thank you, and goodwill to you all. The topic of this series is the art of living well, another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata, Part 4. Now, if you haven't yet watched Part 1 through to Part 3, I strongly suggest that you please do so before you watch this Part 4 or any other part in this series that you may come across. So in Part 3 of this, my analysis, my interpretation and my perspective of Desiderata, I pointed out and bluntly explained to you all the very disturbing fact that the little people that sprang from us, or more correctly, the little people that ascended from us, in all practical sense and reality, are not ours. That they don't belong to us, their biological mothers and fathers. But that like us, they are subjects that are owned by the system and thus belong to the system, aka the state, the government, that are our real and true slave masters. I even draw the analogy of livestock on a farm, and that we, their biological mothers and fathers, are nothing but their legal guardian and caretaker, a privilege that is granted to us by the state, and one that can be taken, a privilege that can be taken away from us at any time by the said state. Should we lost or lose favor, or should we be accused or be found guilty of violating our state-given privileges? So from now on, whenever you hear me using the phrase our children or my child, etc., I ask that you please bear in mind this fact, that they are not really ours, but that we can, or we are only make believe that they are ours. We are only make believing or make belief that they are ours. And I am well aware of the fact that a lot of you, my listeners, vehemently disagree with me on those points, while others have admitted to me personally that it has been a rude awakening for them to discover that they are slaves and that their offspring does not belong to them but to the system. A rude awakening for many people listening to me, to discover that we are all slaves and that our children, our offspring rather, the best word to use, does not belong to us, that they belong to the system. I also took the liberty and modified the old phrase or the old proverb and biblical quote that states, and I quote, "Train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he or she is old, he or she will not depart from it." Or, "Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it," unquote. I modify that to, "Train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he or she is old, he or she may not depart from it." Or, "Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they may not leave it." And the reason I gave for doing so was Because from my perspective, it did not make logical, practical, and realistic sense saying that they will not depart from it or that they will not leave it. It meaning the part that they should go or we intend for them to go. Because the evidence shows, and the evidence will no doubt continue to show, that these little people that sprang from us, that we call our children, have a mind of their own, and that there is no guarantee that regardless of how well we may think we have raised them, or we raise them, that they will turn out the way that we wish or the way that we might have intended for them to turn out. I also emphasize the point that from my interpretation and understanding of the quote or of the proverb, train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he or she is old, he or she may not depart from it, or direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they may not leave it, that it is we, the parents, meaning we, the literal biological mother and biological father or fathers of a child or of these children, that are naturally responsible to rear and train our children or in the way that they should and must go. For on the contrary, we cannot guarantee the outcome of a wholesome adult or some wholesome adults. I also said that from my perspective, train up a child in the way that he or she should go, or direct a child in the way that he or she should go, correlates with the Desiderata. And I quote, go placidly amidst the noise and haste. And as part of our training technique, I quoted the late Dr. Dorothy Nault, a doctor of philosophy, in her poem titled, Children Learn What They Live. Now, to further emphasize this point, train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he or she is old, he or she may not depart from it, or direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they may not leave it. Please let me also read from Dr. Dorothy Nault, poem, Children Learn What They Live, and also share a few of my thoughts and perspectives on her poem with you. Quote, if children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with praise, they learn appreciation. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with kindness and consideration, they learn respect. If children live with fear, they learn to be apprehensive. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and in those about them. If children live with pity, they learn to feel sorry for themselves. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with ridicule, they learn to feel shy. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with jealousy, they learn to feel envy. If children live with sharing, they learn generosity. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with acceptance, they learn to live. If children live with tolerance, they learn patience. If children live with recognition, they learn it is good to have a goal. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which to live, unquote. Now, if my interpretation and understanding of this quote, train up a child in the way that he or she should go, and when he or she is old, he or she may not depart from it, or direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they may not leave it. If my interpretation and understanding of this is correct, and that it is we, the literal biological parents, the biological mother and biological father of the children that are literally and naturally responsible for training and bringing up our children in the way that they must go, or the way, or at the very least, if we can agree that this statement is correct, then we must also logically agree that when our children fail, when our children do not manifest the virtues, these moral goodness herein mentioned, when our children turn out to be liars, to be thieves, to be fraudsters, to be shatters, to be robbers, to be gunmen or gunwomen, gangsters, scammers, when they turn out to be murderers, pimps, legal or illegal drug dealers, undesirables, menacing or menaces to both family and society, a menace rather to both family and society, you name them, that it is us the parent, it is us the legal guardian or custodian that have failed them. That these are the children that we have brought forth. And for whatever the reason or reasons that we, their parents, have failed them, we must take responsibility for that fact. They are our production. The fact is that we cannot give that which we ourselves did not have, or do not have, and did not receive from our own parents. Meaning, we cannot give training if we ourselves did not receive training. And if we did not receive training, but did not, or rather, if we did receive training, but did not pass it on to our children, for whatever the reason or reasons, then we must admit that we have failed them. For example, if we were not there in our children's life when they needed parenting the most, and some ended up turning into criminals, murderers, and monsters, etc., then regardless of the reasons or excuses that we may have, the fact is that we must admit that it is us that failed them. For children learn what they live, and children live what they learn. From my perspective, the easiest thing to do in life is to blame someone else or something else for our own inadequacies, for our own failures, for our own ignorance, our own mistakes, for our own negligence. And the evidence will show, and the evidence has shown, that the easiest person for a man to blame, or for almost everything, if not everything in life, is a woman. And if you doubt me, then just go and read the story of Adam and Eve in the Adamic race history and Holy Book, which is also known as the Christian Holy Bible. And the easiest people to blame for almost all, if not all, the ills in our society today are our youths, our children, or our offspring. It is very easy for us to blame the youths of today for all the wrongs, the criminal activities, the activities, the murders, the robbery, the shootings and gun violence, etc., etc. But the truth be told, we as parents and adults are also responsible, if not equally responsible as well, because we have failed them. It is evident that we did not do an excellent job at raising them and training them. Questions. I have been asked the question, and I quote, Mystic Philosopher, if our children are not really ours, as you repeatedly said, and if they really and truly belong to the system, aka the government, the state, our real and true owners and slave masters, then why should we, their legal guardian and custodian, give a damn about them? Why should we care about how they are raised and how they turn out or what they may turn out to be? Unquote. Well, from my perspective, the answer to this question is that there are at least 4 main reasons why we as melanin people, we the Earth's natural, native and organic humans, commonly called Africans, should care for them, nurture them, and treat them as if realistically they are really and truly our own. And under the circumstances, try and do our very best to raise them as naturally as our maternal and paternal instinct will dictate. Reason number 1. It is our natural obligation to be obedient and in full compliance to the fulfillment of the first and immutable law of our mother and our source, Mother Nature, aka the law of self-preservation. Reason number 2, paying homage and honor to our most honorable African ancestors, aka honor our father and mother, that our days may be long upon the earth, which is also known as to have everlasting life. Reason number 3 is vision. Reason number 4 is a firm assurance that we, the African race of humans, will survive. And not only will we survive the wicked, the germs, the alien viruses, the Adamic races, the evils that are plaguing us, but that we will be victorious over all our enemies. So let's deal with reason number 1. The reason why we should give a damn about them, and even though I've mentioned before, they are not, and realistically they are not ours, but the reason why we should give a damn about them, and the reason why we should and must care about how they are raised, and how they will or how they may turn out, or what they may turn out to be, is in accordance with our natural obligation, the fulfillment of our obedience to the first and immutable law of our Mother Nature and our source mother, of our mother and of our source Mother Nature, aka the law of self-preservation. The evidence has shown, and the evidence will no doubt continue to show, that every living thing in nature has the inherent will and natural drive to survive and have everlasting life. Or if you prefer, so that life will last forever, or its kind will last forever. And in order to do so, it or they must reproduce itself and themselves. In other words, life everlasting is the reproduction of oneself, and that is a given. Now, please note that things in nature and people in nature, aka things that are natural, know of a fact that they cannot reproduce themselves, thereby fulfilling the first and immutable law of our mother nature and of our mother and of our source, mother nature, aka the law of self-preservation, by mixing, cohabiting, and breeding with things and people that are not themselves. Period. They know that. And the evidence has shown, and the evidence will no doubt continue to show, that there is no argument against this fact, let alone argument that can or argument that will prove otherwise, unless it is from a hypocrite. It is from an enemy, or if it is from an evil, possessed, and an intellectually dishonest person, or a humankind, or a victim of the evil system's deception, etc. No one can argue that. And I, the mystic philosopher, hereby challenge anyone that is intellectually honest to even attempt to factually prove otherwise. The only thing that our most honorable African ancestors ask of us, the only thing they ask of us, and is asking of us, and require of us, their ascendants, aka their offspring, is that we naturally, unadulteratedly, and obediently pass on their genes, or their seeds, pass on their genes and pass on their DNA. Their seeds, their genes and DNA that they have given to us, and for us to pass on to the next generation. Now, please note that their seeds, their genes, their DNA that they have invested in us are not for us to do as we please or to do whatever we please with them. They are not given to us, and they are not invested in us for us to waste them, for us to pollute them, for us to destroy them by spewing them any and everywhere and into any and every field available, or any garden that we may encounter. It is not given to us. Our responsibility, the seeds that our ancestors and their genes that they have given to us, is for life everlasting. It's not for us to do as we please with them, to sow them anywhere, put them in any garden or any available hole. But first they are given to us for safekeeping. And that is an awesome responsibility. And then for us to pass them on to their next generation, also for safekeeping as well. Remember, we're talking about self-preservation and our responsibility to our most honorable ancestors. And as I mentioned before, we should honor them. And it is passed on to the next generation for safekeeping as well. And this natural, unadulterated, and obedient process of passing on our seeds, our genes, our DNA, is the reproduction of oneself and the reproduction of oneself is life everlasting. We hear a lot about life everlasting, and people want to have eternal life and everlasting life. But the enemy's religion that they have inculcated our minds with, and not only brainwash but brain stain our mind, is to have everlasting life in some place way out there in some heaven, or to be with some with dear God, etc., etc. You know the teaching, if you the enemy's doctrine. But nature is teaching us otherwise. Everlasting, lasting as long as, in order for it to last forever and ever, it has to be reproduced the way it is. Let me continue. And that is pretty much all that our most honorable African ancestors ask of us. It's for us, this is a natural and unadulterated and obedient process of passing on our seeds, our genes, and our DNA, is the reproduction of oneself, and the reproduction of oneself is life everlasting. Yes, life everlasting is the reproduction of oneself. And that is pretty much all that our most honorable African ancestors and our ancestral gods have required of us, their ascendants. Now, please note the word ascendants also. We are not descendants. You start to become descendants when you start to mix and mix out. But when you ascend, or when you spring from, that's a different. So if you understand, please don't call yourselves, if you are a melanin person of an African, a highly enriched melanin, carbon skin, the people that the system is killing and trying to erase from off the earth. We are not descendants. They are descendants because they are descending. Descending means something that is always falling away from some place. Falling away. Deteriorating. Descend. But we are ascending. We spring. And as long as we keep the law of our mother and source, Mother Nature, and pass on our genes, then we are ascending. So if you are a descendant, then you know you mix up and almost mix out. And that is why others want to intermingle with us to mix us out, so we become descendant like them, because they are descending. So they say that a drowning man catch on to a straw. So they are catching on to anything. They will sow their seeds in any hole. It doesn't matter which part of the body the hole is, they will try to spew their seeds in it. But that is not how nature performs. But let me continue. So that is all they ask of us. Anything and everything else is secondary. Anything and everything else is secondary. For enveloped and encapsulated within their seeds. Remember, it's not our seeds, our ancestral seeds, that these demons and the system who enslave us and subjugated us and claim us and turn us into their slaves, and in owning us, they know of a fact that we don't belong to them. They cannot own us. We are natural. We are nature. But that's another subject. Let me continue. So anything and everything else is secondary. For enveloped and encapsulated within their seeds, within their genes, if you prefer, within their DNA, are billions, if not trillions of years of universal mysteries and secrets. That is why the devil's trying to study us so much. The only thing they can learn is from us. But let me stick to these, to my prepared material. Enveloped in our ancestral seed. Someone will tell you that these people, they always study melanin. Melanin is what they are studying. Because this is how they want to survive, because they are not natural. Our enemies are not natural, they are not of nature. They are unnatural. They just, but in order for them to survive, they have to, like they are parasites. They have to log on to us, study us, do everything, abuse us, you name it, for their survival, because they are not natural. They are artificial. Everything about them is artificial and mechanical. But again, I'll talk about that another place, another time. So within it, as I said before, are billions, if not trillions of years of mysteries, universal mysteries, and secrets. And all the knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and information that there is to know. All the knowledge, understanding, wisdom, and information that can be known, and that can be known about them, about our ancestors. It's all enveloped in their DNA, in their seeds. That is why they're thinning us out. That is why they're trying to give us all sort of artificial food, genetically modified food, GMOs, genetically modified organisms. They're trying to modify us. This is bigger than what they call conspiracy. But let me continue. That's reason number one. I could give a whole lecture on reason number one. But let me continue to reason number two. Reason number two. Paying homage and honor to our most honorable African ancestors, which is known as to honor our fathers and our mother, that our days may be long upon the earth. That's life everlasting. Pay homage and honor our ancestors. And it does not mean just honor them when they are alive. I think I mentioned that elsewhere. It does not mean just show our respect and honor to them because they have excelled in society. They are famous, they are rich, or even because they love us or treat us a certain way and what have you. No, it's our obligation to honor them. And not only in life, but also in death. We should honor them. But that's also another whole subject that I will talk about another time. We're talking about everlasting life here. Reason number 3 is vision. The third reason why we should give a damn. Because remember, I said these children, these little ones that spring from us are not really ours under the system. They don't belong to us. The system will tell you that. We are all slaves. We are all victims of the system. So, knowing this, as the question was asked, why should we give a damn about doing our best to take care of them and to be there for them? And this is why I'm giving you all of these 4 reasons. So reason number 3 is, the third reason is that why we should give a damn about them, and the reason why we should and must care about how they are raised and how they will or how they may turn out or what they may turn out to be is vision. The fact is that regardless of our current condition, we must have vision. Yes, we know what's going on right now. But we must have vision. Not only must we have vision, but we must maintain vision. We must have vision, a mental image in our heads or in our minds of a future, of a day, a time when we will be free, like the birds in the trees, without boundaries and countries. When we will be free again, like the birds in the trees, without boundaries or countries. And to live our lives as the earth's natural, native, and highly melanin, highly carbon enriched and organic humans, aka commonly called Africans. And as we lived before our enemies was even created, as we lived before our enemies invaded us, conquered us, enslaved us, murdered us and is murdering us as we lived before they ever was. That's reason number 3. The evidence have shown, and the evidence will no doubt continue to show, that our most honorable African ancestors had vision, or else they would not have made the sacrifices and paid the price that they have paid for us surviving and being here today. Yeah, they could have, as we know along the journey, some decided that they wasn't gonna even have their children become slaves to these evil, because trust me, dealing with these devils, the invaders, the Johnny come lately, to quote one favorite speaker. Yeah, to deal with them is not an easy thing. They have brought nothing but death, sickness, evil, torture, you name it, upon the earth. And for us to survive them, I mean, trust me, we should be proud of ourselves, for our ancestors to survive them, so that we can be here today. For as it is written, without vision, the people perish. So we have to have that vision and maintain it, that we will be free. Not under the dome, not freedom. Because a lot of people talk about freedom, but they don't understand the mysteries that are enveloped in the enemy's language and in their words. Freedom doesn't mean that you are free. You're only free to exist within the prison, the dome. But that's something else to talk about. But to be free like the birds in the trees. But without vision, the people perish. Or where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, and here I'm talking about not the man's law or some religious laws, but this law that is being referred here is the law, he that keepeth the law of self-preservation. Happy is he and happy are they, if we keep the law of self-preservation. Because even what we are going through right now, and for those of us who understand what's going on right here in 2020, in the States and across North America, and across the world in particular, Brazil, you name it, but here in North America, where we see our enemies and their forces of evil, their agents of force, are slaughtering us, torturing us, killing our children, doing all manner of evil. But please don't expect anything else from them. That's who and what they are. We must still have hope, have the vision rather, that these too shall pass. Yes, and what we are doing is practicing, adhering to, being obedient to the law, the first law of nature of our mother and source, by passing on our seeds, by holding on to them and passing them on to the next generation. So we replicate ourselves and reproduce ourselves, and our ancestors will be proud of us. And finally, for now, reason number 4 is a firm assurance that we, the African race, we, the highly enriched melanin race of humans, the natural native earthly humans, will survive. Yes. And not only will we survive the wicked, the germs, the alien viruses, the Adamic races, the evils that are plaguing us, but that we will be victorious over all our enemies. For to borrow the profound and prophetic words of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, Haile Selassie, and I quote, "We know that we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil." We know that we shall win, for as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. Unquote. And no doubt someone will be asking the question, the mystic philosopher, are you for real? Are you delusional? How and why are you so confident that we, the Earth's original, the Earth's organic and highly melanin or carbon enriched humans, aka Africans, or commonly called African people, will overcome, survive, and be victorious over all our enemies? Can't you see and don't you understand that Charles Darwin's prophecy, as you have so rightly taught and have explained and proved in your lectures, is being fulfilled on us? Can't you see and understand that understand that the Adamic races of humankind, along with their demonic agents of force and forces, are literally and in our faces exterminating us? Can't you see and understand that the Caucasian race of humankind are murdering and exterminating us? Can't you see and understand that the Arab races of humankind are murdering and exterminating us? Can't you see and understand that the Chinese and Asian races of humankind are murdering us, are murdering and exterminating us? And can't you see and understand that even some of our own African people, our own highly melanated people, that are possessed, and the key word here is possessed, by the spirit of force and forces of our enemy, spirit and forces of our enemies are killing, murdering, and exterminating us? Can't you see? And my answer is yes. I am very much aware of all these facts. And I am very much aware of who and what are all my real enemies and all our real enemies. I'm really aware of who and what they are. And I'm also well aware of the fact that many more of us African people, be they in the divided states, not the United States, the divided states, because that's no unity there, the divided states called America, Canada, England, the Caucasus Mountains, Brazil, South America, the Caribbean, Africa, or the world over, will have to suffer, and many more, if not the majority of us, will be murdered, will be exterminated, by all of our aforementioned enemies. I named them earlier. But I am assured of the fact. Now, please note, I'm assured of the fact. Not belief, but the fact. Not a belief, but the fact that we African people are of the source, and that we belong to the source that cannot die or cease to exist. I am also assured of the fact that as long as this, our Mother Earth, remain in existence, we African people will be here, and not only in spirit but in flesh as well. I said the majority of us will be murdered. Yes, it's possible, because we see and know what is being done to us right now. For it will take only one or two of us and a few of our fellow African women to replenish the whole earth. So even though, and these devils, they know it. These demons, they know it. And that's why, if you notice, the focus is on, and shortly you shall see why, the focus is on slaughtering us males, the enemy. Yes, those races, these Johnny-come-lately creatures, these humankinds that are slaughtering us, they know they target the males. And I shortly shall see why. Example, listen carefully now. You're going to please pay very close attention as to why these devils, they are programmed. Sometimes they can't even explain to you why they are killing us Not just here, but the world over. The males in particular. Why they are killing us and slaughtering us the way. And you shall see by quoting even some of them right now. You're going to see why. According to some of the evil system's own, these devils' own scientists and biologists, and for your information, some, if not all of whom are our enemies, or at the very least, they are from our enemy's race or races. And I quote, listen now. This will answer the question why they are killing us. Why that, one of the reasons why that devil that slew, that we saw, the world saw. And even though the devils are trying to have us deny what we see and what we saw with our own eyes, now you're going to understand one of the reasons why they slaughter him and are slaughtering other males like that. According to their own scientists and biologists. And I quote, the average male will produce roughly 525 billion sperm cells over a lifetime. That's the average male, again I quote, will produce 525 billion, with a B, yes, sperm cells over a lifetime. And shed at least 1 billion of them per month. It continued, a healthy adult male can release between 40 million and 1.2 billion sperm cells in a single ejaculation, unquote. Now, and I'm indeed proud to inform you and remind you, my melanin people, that we, the Earth's organic and highly melanin, highly carbon skin, or carbon humans, aka African men, are not average. We are not average. So I want you to get the point why these devils and the reason why these demons are trying to kill us out, and why I told you that we, don't worry, they may kill the majority of us, but we shall inherit the earth. We shall not just inherit, because it don't belong to them. We shall survive. We'll be here. Because we are confident in the victory of good over evil. So we are not average. We are not average men. African men are not average. The average one will only produce 525 billion. But again, we are not average. The evidence will show and has shown that almost everything, if not everything about our enemies is average. The average. Everything about them. They deal with average. We are not. Above average, everything about them is either average, above average, or below average, or is average. Not for us. They know that in every sense. And now you know one more reason why our enemies hate, passionately hate. They can't help themselves. Because it's how you see they smile with you. You're a fool to think that they're your friend. In fact, just for information, let's mention the word friend. Let me point it out there. I'll get back to this. Some people boast about their friend. You don't really know and understand. It's their language, not mine. I don't go study their language to see what's in their thought. Because their thoughts are enveloped in their words. How they think and how they behave. The word friend, do you think is a good word? Not necessarily. It's two words. If RI/END. Friend. If RI, if you study the etymology, and let me just summarize it quick. It really means, means love. Having to do with Venus, the god of love. And end mean when something terminates or is terminated. So friend is really where love end. So when they talk about your friend, that's why the saying goes, as we used to hear our own old folks say, have many friends, treat them well, But never to them your secret tell, for when your friend become your foe, all over the world your secret go. Not if your friend become your foe, because friend, the love will always end. So, and we know when dog bark what dog said, friend a friend. So when you have been hanging on, oh, that's my buddy. Buddy, trust them? They're snakes. Anyhow, let me continue with this. I know you know for the reason why they despise us, why they hate us, why these cops are killing us men like that passionately. I saw a video yesterday, the guy have his hand, my brother has his hand held up, obeying everything, and this brother come and do a jump kick in the man's spinal cord area. And even as hard as he did, and the demon is so weak that he could even, that kick could take down an elephant. I mean, if it is coming from not an average man, if it's coming from one of us. But anyhow, so that's why they hate us. When they're dealing with us, when they see us, it's like the demonic gene in them is activated. So they can't help. Don't you expect them to behave you can't expect them to behave any other way. They will put their dog on us. They're just what they are, our enemies. Anyhow, that's why they hate us. And our health bent. Now you know why they despise us, hate us, and despise us, and our health bent, and annihilating us, and by any means necessary that they can and that they have at their disposal. Yes, now you know. Now, and according to the said evil system's own scientists and biologists, and I quote, at birth, there are approximately 1 billion eggs. And that by the time of puberty, that's for the female, and by the time of puberty, only about 300,000 remain. Of these, only 300 to 400 will be ovulated during a woman's reproductive lifetime. Fertility can drop as a woman eggs. Fertility can drop as a woman eggs due to decreasing number and quality of the remaining eggs. So you see, the man has far more seeds. So it doesn't take, as you can shortly see, it doesn't take a whole heap of us to repopulate the earth. These demons know, and that's why they are doing everything to get to eradicate us. So here we see that it will only take a few of us African men and a few African women to quickly replenish the earth. After all, our enemies are destroyed, and most of them will be destroyed by their own evil schemes and evil devices. And nobody knows this better than all our enemies. And that is one reason, if not the main reason, why they and their force and forces of evil are slaughtering, murdering, and exterminating us one by one, and is as much a number as possible. And if given the chance, they will try to murder down to the very last one of us. Soon, you will start seeing our enemies committing suicide like it is fashionable. Yes, when we hear them killing themselves, it's their own sin. It's their own evil. Yes, it's their own judgment that is coming upon them. So we don't have to, but that's for another topic. But many things we don't really have to really do. Yes, it's not that we have to use their weapons necessarily to get rid of them. But that's also another subject. We know that we shall win as we are confident in the victory of good over evil. But I will have much more to say on this point elsewhere and at another time. So back to the old proverb, train up a child in the way that he or she should go. And when he or she train up a child in the way that he or she should go. And when he or she is old, he or she may not depart from it, or direct your child or your children onto the right path. And when they are older, they may not leave it. As I have also implied, that we cannot instill morals or moral values and moral virtues, moral code of conduct. We cannot instill upright and outstanding characteristics in our children if we didn't, or if we don't first possess them, or possess them ourselves, or if we did not receive them from our parents by learning and living them ourselves when we were children. Now, I think I will do this, make this another part 2, because I've gone on for quite some time, but I have a lot of material here. So what I think I will do here is ask you to please stay tuned for a part 2 of this part 4. Yeah, part 2 of this part 4. Because I think I've gone on for quite some time now, at least an hour. Yeah. So I will continue with this presentation. So let me just sign off here. Yes, so this will be the end. This is the end of part 4. Let's call it part 4A. I will do a part 4B because I have a lot more material to cover. And I realize I've gone over an hour. Right? So let me thank you for listening thus far. And ask that you please join me in part 4B. Or part 4A. This is part 4. Part 4A. For the continuation and much more detailed expression on this topic, the art of living well, another perspective and interpretation of Desiderata. I am the Mystic Philosopher. It is high time for reason and for reasoning. Ashe, 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 I say.